Today we will continue our talk about disasters. Open your books at page 22, exercise 1. Causes and consequences of natural disasters. Read the headlines and fill in. Now, let's listen and check.
Massive undersea earthquake strikes off the coast of Japan. 10-meter tsunami washes away houses and cars. Force of Japan quake moves island by 2.4 meters. Nuclear power stations in quake areas closed down. 500,000 Japanese evacuated their houses, and 1.4 million without running water.
Now you are to use the headlines to tell us what you think happened in Japan in March 2011. Listen to the model.
In March 2011, an undersea earthquake struck off the coast of Japan. Soon after, a 10-meter tsunami followed which washed away many houses and cars. The force of the Japan quake was so big that it moved the island by about 2.4 meters. Many nuclear power stations in the areas where the quake struck had to be closed down. 500,000 Japanese people evacuated their houses, and almost 1.4 million in total were without running water.
Now let's work with our vocabulary. Listen to the new words, repeat and write them down. Learn them by heart.
Aftershock. Authorities. Axis. Blaze. Collapse. Courageous. Crash into. Debris. Desperate. Devastating. Epicenter. Evacuation. Exceed. Explosion. Force. Foreshock. Head for.
Inland. Landslide. Loaded with. Mud. Nuclear meltdown. Pylon. Relief worker. Rip apart. Roll across. Shake. Slam into. Strike. Struggle. Sweep away. Technician.
Warning.
In exercise 2, you are to write down 3 questions you would like to ask about this disaster. Then read the text. Now, can you answer your questions? Listen to the questions and answers for them.
How strong was the earthquake? It was a magnitude 9 quake. How many people died? Over 15,000 people died. How far inland did the tsunami reach? It reached 10 kilometers inland.
In exercise 3, you are to read the text again. 5 sentences are missing. Match each sentence to a gap. Let's check. The sentence C. Many thousands of people lost their lives, and roads, buildings, and entire villages were swept away, is told at the first paragraph at the beginning of the text. In the second paragraph, sentence A is met. Closer of the epicenter, buildings collapsed, road and railways were ripped apart, and fires blazed. In the middle of the text, it is said, it washed away houses and cars, and hurled ships far inland, carrying them along and slamming them into whatever lay in their path. In the fourth paragraph, there is the sentence E. Without power, the cooling system at the Fukushima No. 1 plant failed. And in the fifth paragraph, there is a sentence D. Sadly, there were hardly any survivors. Now let's watch video and check.
The day the Earth moved. On the 11th of March 2011, at 2:46 local time, an undersea earthquake struck off the northeastern coast of Japan. The force of the earthquake, the most powerful in Japan's history, triggered a devastating tsunami. Many thousands of people lost their lives, and it was a national tragedy. The destruction the tsunami created caused a partial nuclear meltdown. The planet also moved on its axis, shortening the length of every day. In the days before the main earthquake, Japan had experienced quite a few foreshocks, some of which exceeded magnitude 7. It was strong enough to be felt hundreds of kilometers away in Tokyo. Closer to the epicenter, buildings collapsed, roads and railways were ripped apart, and fires blazed. The authorities issued a tsunami warning, leaving residents to head for higher ground. Soon after, a wall of water, 10 meters high in some places, rolled across the Pacific Ocean and crashed into the coast. It washed away houses and cars and hurled ships far inland. The waters reached up to 10 kilometers inland before heading back out to sea, now loaded with debris and leaving a swamp-like landscape of landslides and mud. By this time, many areas were without electricity as pylons had crumbled, which caused a major disaster at Japan's nuclear power stations. Without power, the cooling system at the Fukushima No. 1 plant failed. The government immediately ordered an evacuation of hundreds of thousands of residents. Over the next few days, a large number of aftershocks continued to shake Japan. Several countries sent relief workers. Amazing tales of survival came to the attention of the world's press, and the world held its breath while it waited to see how the tragedy would end.
In exercise 4, you are to match the highlighted words to their meanings. Let's check. Holding on tightly, clinging to, panicked and frightened, frantic, broken into small pieces, crumbled, started, triggered, incomplete, partial, unable to leave, stranded, pieces of bricks, stones and other materials, rubble, very wet, swamp-like, violently through, held. And now let's start working with grammar. Exercise 5. Compound adjectives. How do we form compound adjectives? A compound adjective is formed when two or more adjectives are joined together to modify the same noun. We form it with two words, usually joined by a hyphen. We often use adjective, noun, number plus noun and the word with ending ed. Adjective, adverb, noun plus past participle, or adjective, adverb, noun plus present participle. Now let's find 4 examples of compound adjectives in the text. You see they are swamp-like, hardworking, 4 months old, world famous. Now you are to use them to make sentences. Listen to the models.
After the flood, many areas had a swamp-like appearance.
Tom is a hard-working man.
Jane took her 4-month-old baby to the doctor.
George Clooney is a world-famous actor.
In exercises 6 and 7, we are to remember two infinitive and ing forms. Let's remember the rules. We use the two infinitive to express purpose.
These women come to the floating market to sell their products every morning.
We use the two infinitive with the adverbs to and enough.
The water of this river is too polluted to drink. It isn't clean enough to drink.
We use the two infinitive after be plus adjective that describe feelings: happy, nice, sorry, glad, and so on.
I'm very happy to meet you.
We use the to infinitive after the following verbs: advise, agree, decide, expect, hope, manage, and so on.
They plan to sail around the world.
We use the to infinitive after be plus the first or second, next, last, best.
They were the first to jump into the water.
We use the to infinitive to talk about an unexpected event, which can be unpleasant, usually with only.
She opened her purse to pay a bill, only to discover that it was empty.
We use the to infinitive with would, love, would like, and would prefer.
Would you like to order now?
We use the infinitive without to after modal verbs: must, can, may, should, so on.
You must fasten your seatbelt during the flight.
We use the infinitive without to after the verbs let, make, see, hear, and feel.
During their safari, they saw a zebra cross the road.
We use the infinitive without to after had better and would rather.
I'd rather surf the net than watch TV.
We use the ing form as a noun.
Snorkeling is his favourite holiday activity.
After the following verbs like, love, dislike, hate, enjoy, prefer.
These children love sailing in their small boat.
After the verbs start, begin, continue, finish, stop.
Everybody should start recycling so we can help protect the environment.
The verb go when we talk about activities.
Tommy and his father went fishing last weekend.
We use the ing form after prepositions.
How about going to the cinema tonight, girls?
Sounds like a great idea.
After the phrases be busy, be used to, it's no use, it's no good, it's not worth, there's no point, can't help, have difficulty in, what's the use of.
Michael couldn't help laughing when he fell off his bike.
After the preposition to with verb and expressions such as look forward to, be used to, get round to, object to, in addition to, prefer.
They are all looking forward to going on their summer holiday.
After the verbs avoid, appreciate, admit, confess, consider, continue, deny, imagine, involve, mind, regret, risk, spend, suggest, etc.
Life in the floating villages involves spending your whole life at sea.
And we use the ing form after spend, waste, lose, time, money, and so on.
I spend a lot of time surfing the net.
Now you are to put the verbs in brackets into the correct form. For example, you should avoid driving your car when there is a flood. Driving is used after the verb avoid. We need to buy food and water before we leave the city. To buy is the infinitive form, is used after the verb need. Finish this exercise. In exercise 7, you are to put the verbs in brackets into the correct form. How do they differ in meaning? For example, in first sentence, don't forget to stand under the door frame during an earthquake. The verb forget means remember. And in the second sentence, I'll never forget reading about the firefighter who risked his life to save the students from a burning bus means fail to remember. In the second pair of sentences, there is a verb stop. In A, stopped means paused. In B, stop means ceased. In the third pair, regret means disappointment and remorse. In the fourth pair, tried means attempt, and experiment. And in the fifth, mean means intention and has the meaning. You are to write down these exercises in your copybooks.